I knew you were a runner, but I wasn't aware that you have competed in several Ironman triathlons in the past.
Correct.
Is this something that you still do, or is there these years ago?
Yeah, this was a few years ago.
Okay.
I used to do triathlons. I don't have as much time to train anymore, as you can imagine. But yeah, I competed in 3 Ironman triathlons, which is it's an awesome event to participate in.
Running, cycling, and swimming.
You start out with a 2.4 mile swim, and then you go right into 112 miles on the bike, and then you finish it off with a marathon or a 26.2 mile run. So,
and you've done how many of those?
Three of them, and 3 of them, and within actually a short period of time, I was able to complete them all within one year.
You did 3 in 1 year. Okay.
Yeah, 3 in 1 year. But then beyond that, I've done a lot of other, similar distance or smaller ones, the half Ironman, which are half that distance, some Olympics, a lot of runs and a lot of sprints.
How much training beforehand goes into competing in an event like that?
Well, anybody who wants to do an Ironman, my recommendation is, first of all, get a coach who knows what they're doing training. I had a great coach who was actually able to get me across the finish line uninjured 3 times. So that's the first thing, because there is a lot of training and you need somebody who really knows what they're doing. The training would build up for me probably in the neighborhood of almost probably 15, 16 hours a week as it tops out.
For how long before a year? Or?
Yeah, I would say I really would recommend to anybody, give it 2 years before you do a full Ironman. I've seen some really astounding athletes, tremendous athletes, that only do a year and then try to do it and then bonk like on the run, and rather than do that, because you have to have enough time for your capillaries, your ligaments, all your body really to build up to that type of event, because you may be out there anywhere from 12 to 17 hours. They give you 17 hours to finish it. It starts at 7 in the morning, goes to midnight, and you have to cross the finish line in that period of time. But it takes, you've got to think about, like on the bike, you should typically we would do at least 4 100-mile bike rides leading up to that event. And leading up to that, you start out with 30, then you're building to 40, 50, 60, 70, and then you get to 100, and you're going to do that at least 4 times before you're going to do the event. Same with a run. You're building up to usually around 20 miles, and that may take you, 3-4 hours to complete on a training run. So you think about a weekend, you're spending a lot of time on the bike, a lot of time, running. And then during the week, time in the gym, lifting weights, time in the pool, swimming, and everything that goes into it. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, how grueling is? Can you take us to the first one that you competed in? Did you get, a little bit into it and just say, "Oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into?" How intense was it? Can you describe it?
Yeah, the first one I ever did was actually in Cozumel, that was a really cool one to do because the swim was just absolutely beautiful. And then at the tail end of the swim, so about 2 miles into it, we actually got to swim around a submarine. So that was kind of neat. But the bike ride, where it really kind of dawned on me, is on the back side of the island. We did 3 loops around the island. And on the backside of the island, you run into this super intense wind. So you might be typically running at 18, 19, 20 miles per hour on the bike, and it knocks you down to I remember being knocked down to maybe 10 miles per hour, and I'm passing people. But which surprised me. But that is how intense that wind is. And when you realize, man, I still got 60 miles to go and I'm already dead tired, it really dawns on you that, or when you finish, that was the other thing. I was so happy about finishing the bike portion, and you get on the run and then you realize, oh, I got 26 miles to go. But the other side of it though is that those events usually have a lot of people. And so you had just these crowds that are always cheering you on. And then when you cross the finish line, they will announce your name individually and say you are an Ironman. That's a pretty cool event. And the last thing that's neat about it, and I would suggest, is always train with a group of people. I had a great triathlon team geared up. They were fantastic.
Helps for motivation.
It helps to motivate. Your teammates help cheer you on. And when you're having a tough day, they're there to lift you up. And And again, it starts with a good coach too. And I had a good one, Angie Ferguson.
How did it feel when you finally crossed that finish line?
It's an amazing feeling. Yeah. It's an amazing feeling. And something I would suggest anybody do is if you go to an Ironman during the last hour, like from 11 o'clock to midnight, and you watch those people that have been out there on the course for 16 plus hours and see their faces when they cross the finish line, I mean, that's extremely uplifting. And you're talking about people from all walks of life who've trained, and then it culminates in that event, and they've been out there all day. It's just really neat to see the crowd is cheering them, the music's playing, and they cross the finish line and they announce their name. It's just neat to see their face.
Do you just sleep for like 4.5 weeks after you're done with
it sure
one?
Feels that way, yeah. You go into almost a month of recovery where you're really, first couple of days you're doing very, very little because you're super sore. But then beyond that, you're just kind of easing your way back into training. So it takes a while for your body to rebuild from that type of experience.
And these can be dangerous too, right? You were telling me earlier that you had a mishap while you were swimming during one of them.
Yeah, there's you're looking at like 2,500 people in the water at the same time. A cannon goes off, and you're all swimming in the same direction, and it's very, very chaotic. So a lot of bodies in the water. This one is in Arizona, and I'm about a mile out in the swim, and a big guy comes right across in front of me. And on his backstroke, his elbow came right here, right across my nose. And of course, I got blood coming out of my nose at that point. But fortunately, the water was cool and it stopped the bleeding, and I was able to go on and no swelling because of all that coldness. But yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people get not huge hurtful injuries, but a lot of people that aren't able to complete because of some type of injury or. The one I did in Utah had a lot of people on the swim because of hypothermia. The water was just so cold. It was like 59 degrees, and so we lost. I heard it was something like 200 people out of the 2,500 that started just on the swim. So
you didn't lose.
No. Just dropped out of the race because of hypothermia. They watch it. That's the good thing about those events is they're really well. Observed. You have police officers, you have emergency personnel that are there, so if somebody does get in trouble, they're right there to help them.
How long ago was the last one you did?
Last one probably about 9-10 years ago, something like that.
You miss it at all?
I miss my teammates a lot. I miss my teammates. They like I said, we had made some good friendships, and I still stay in touch with a number of them, but you don't see them every day like I used to, which is neat.